The history of the Middle East was pretty much shaped and dominated by the two civilizations, the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians. However, from around 2000 BC, we see other forces that affects the direction of the Middle East and thereby the whole Western world. In this lecture, we'll be learning about the Middle East during the time period between 2000 to 1000 BC. I'll talk about things I believe would benefit every thinking person. I will first briefly talk about some key dynamics in the Middle East that happens by 1000 BC. The Middle East experiences some outside force from the northern people, who refers to all those above Mesopotamia. These external forces resulted in the introduction of a few things, such as the chariots and horse riding. To be clear, most of these so-called introductions are a result of war. We also see trade happening, and most of it is carried out through water transport. And one interesting fact about water transportation is that we have evidence that canoes were created by at least 7000 BC. Another noteworthy dynamic is surrounding language. Although we cannot say for certain how the writings have evolved, we see an emergence of writing very similar to the Greek alphabet in an island named Crete by around 1400 BC. We also see another variant of it in a land named Phoenicia, which the Greek alphabet is believed to be directly derived from. Let's now talk about some notable civilizations that were essential for the later development of the Western world. I first want to introduce an island named Crete. As it was situated in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, it had a lot in common with Greece and Asia Minor. However, we see them become independent around 1900 BC, marked by the construction of great palaces, one of them being Knossos. The legendary king of Crete was named King Minos, which is why the inhabitants of Crete were called the Minoans. King Minos, for those of you who are wondering, does also appear in Greek mythology. Crete prospered, but Crete was susceptible to natural disasters, and that was tied to their fall as well. Possibly after a volcanic eruption or a tsunami, the Mycenaeans, who were the people of Mycenae, located in southern Greece, came and conquered the Minoans around 1400 BC. Through the Mycenaeans, though, Crete culture, ideas, and goods spread all throughout Greece. Now, a bit about the Mycenaeans. The Mycenaeans are the ones who instigated the famous siege of Troy around 1200 BC. After the siege, new invaders came and Mycenaean civilization collapsed. Long story short, this resulted in the delineation and settlement of the different Greek tribes in their own respective places. During this time, trade decreased around Greece, and interactions between people became dormant. We also see a precipitous decline in human population around 1000 BC, and these factors are why this time period is known as the Greek Dark Ages. The next civilization we're going to cover are the Phoenicians. As briefly mentioned earlier, the Phoenicians also had their alphabet. We really don't know how it came to be, but it was very effective and a simple alphabet, only consisting of 22 letters that represented consonants. Situated near the waters, the Phoenicians engaged in a lot of trade. Through their various trade, the Phoenician script is believed to have spread and eventually becoming inherited by the Greeks. It is also commonly believed that the Phoenicians spread Egyptian and Asian ideas to the Greeks, and that those influences can be seen in places such as in Greek mythology. As you can see, both Crete and Phoenicia were very important for the later development of Greece. Next, I want to talk about the Hebrews, the people of the Bible. The Hebrews are important to mention because of the influence they have on the world later in history. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all stem from the Hebrews. If it weren't for this, they wouldn't be of much importance. The word Hebrew means wanderer. They are believed to be the first people to have a monotheistic religion, which is an important information given that all other tribes were pretty much polytheistic. One important attribute of this monotheistic religion was that their moral code applied to everyone, including the authorities. Now, contrast this to, say, the Egyptians and the Sumerians, where the pharaoh or the king were, one of the gods or on par with the gods, and they pretty much decided the moral code. Now, if you're interested in learning about those two civilizations, please watch my previous videos on them. The origin and history of the Hebrews is quite controversial, which makes sense given that so much is at stake for the major religions of today. Although specific figures and stories may be controversial, we can agree on the existence of the Hebraic people. Historically, what's important to know is that these people were pretty much either living a nomadic lifestyle or were ruled by other civilizations. They were pretty much the underdogs. The monotheistic worldview caused a lot of problems for them, since it meant the rejection of all other civilizations' gods. And this may be a key reason why, they were the underdogs. By around 600 BC, the Hebrews were situated and ruled in Babylon, and their holy temple, was destroyed. And that information will be important in later times, such as during the Roman Empire. So just remember that. And that's pretty much the end of this lecture. I truly hope you learned something from this lecture, and if you did, please consider subscribing and maybe look forward to my later future videos. In summary, invaders from the northern people, the people geographically above Mesopotamia, resulted in the introduction of technologies and new ideas. And aside from the Mesopotamians and Egyptians, there were other essential civilizations for the development of the Middle East and thereby the Western world. One notable civilization is in the island called Crete. They are called the Minoans, and these people were prosperous but were conquered by the Mycenaeans, the people from southern Greece. The Mycenaeans eventually collapsed due to other invaders. Long story short, this resulted in the delineation and settlement of the different Greek tribes in their own respective places and region, and Greek entered the Greek Dark Ages. Another key civilization were the Phoenicians. Phoenicia thrived on trade, and through them, many Egyptian and Asian ideas spread all throughout Greece. Phoenician script also spread, which later became the Greek alphabet. Finally, another historically important group of people are the Hebrews, and these people are only mentioned because of their importance in later parts of world history. Basically, the Hebrews are the tribe which gave birth to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. By 600 BC, the Hebrews were ruled in Babylon and their holy temple was destroyed. The next lecture will be on the Indus Valley and ancient China. And after that, I'll post lectures on the Middle East after 1000 BC and get into the classical age and cover people and regions such as Greece and Rome. And as always, I want to improve my quality for future lectures, so I would really appreciate any feedback. Or just kindly let me know what was most interesting or if there is anything you want me to further discuss.